Hello, everybody, and hopefully audio is working, and even more, hopefully video is working. We are live with the 6 o'clock show. Tonight I have Christian with me,
Good evening, everybody.
and we're going to wait for a few people to sort of join the chat first. Thank you very much, Mr. Brooks, um, for saying that. I mean, I should be polite and ask you what your pronouns are, Mr. Brooks, because I've just called you Mr. Brooks twice, well, three times now, and that is probably wrong of me. One assumes. Um, but we are here, we are live, and we've got a few things to talk about. The first thing that I'm going to sort of natter about Um, first is something straightforward. The game that we're running tonight after this, for those of you who are unaware, I run an awful lot of tabletop role play. Um, and tonight is going to be Feng Shui?
Feng Shui. I
Feng
looked it up
Shui.
yesterday
Yeah,
after
yeah,
you mentioned it.
that's okay.
Got the character sheet ready.
Yeah, if I say it, it is probably wrong. I have some kind of sort of word blindness. Unless things are spelt phonetically, I have real issues, as many of my players will testify to as I try and pronounce their names.
That's
Uh,
why I called my character Bud.
yeah, Bud is good. You see, that's perfect. That is perfect. And I do try. It's a condition that I've got. Hey there, Jocelyn. How are you doing? Thanks for joining us live tonight in chat. Really appreciate it. If you haven't already caught last night's, we mentioned you a few times about your shenanigans in the Eberron game, all positive and light-hearted. And for anybody that was last night and has jumped in now, we have the star of last Sunday's Eberron show.
It was
Um,
epic.
it
It was
was,
epic.
yeah,
I mean, it was true to Minty,
yeah.
very true to Minty, and Minty went out in a blaze of glory. At least that's what Minty told us.
For those of you who are wondering what on earth we're talking about, I don't want to repeat content. Um, Catch the 6 o'clock show. 6 o'clock. It sounds like I've
Six
been
o'clock
drinking.
club.
Yeah, 6 o'clock club. I
Have you?
actually called it club deliberately because I thought we could do a really cool logo of an actual club. Um, but I'm intent on calling it the 6 o'clock show. Well, I can't even say it. Never mind anything else.
Should we
So
get t-shirts?
yeah, yeah,
I'd
yeah,
like t-shirts.
yeah.
Corporate polo shirts.
I just
Yeah.
like the idea of a club. That's all. It's yeah, immature to me. So anyway, um, this is what we do. We talk nonsense most of the time. Please join in chat. Um, so tonight's a great. It's the first opportunity I've had in a long time to run Feng Shui. Say it again for me.
Feng Shui, Feng
Feng
Shui.
Shui. Feng
It was
Shui.
it was it was the pronunciation thing I saw yesterday
Yeah,
gave me both. So
cool. Two, I can do the two bit. This is the revised edition, second edition, and it is. I mean, I'm super excited. It's kind of a starter game. It's a one shot, but I've been working on images and lots of things. Hopefully, you will enjoy it. I can do something really cool, or at least I think I can do something really cool, which means I can get rid of our faces and get fancy grounds to appear. No, yes, no, I can do it
oh,
when I click the right one. There we go. Look at that.
it's in the
Woo!
background there. It's our faces. Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
There
yeah.
we
No,
go.
no, you're on delay. So we've disappeared for a moment, but I can make us appear again. Watch this. I'm learning technology slowly but surely and making uh, pig's ear of it. But there we go. So yeah, so you kind of all sort of that. I'm going to do that again. This is Fantasy Ground setup because at 7 o'clock tonight we're just going to steam into it. It's a beautiful art from. I think that's the DM screen art from it. It is Big Trouble in Little China on speed. There are junctures which are parts of different times. There's crazy futuristic. There is kind of martial arts, ancient, sorcerers. There is contemporary, Hong Kong action. It's just a blending of all of that together in what they call the Qi or Qi War. Once again, my pronunciations are terrible. But as you can see from that picture there, you've kind of got maverick cops, you've got everyday heroes with this 6-pack of beer. He's already had a tinny. You've got martial artists, two-gun killers, assassins. You can even play Ghost in this game. It's all of those movies blended into one thing, and I'm super excited. I've got some interesting NPCs if they get across to find them, and wow, I am very excited. We will no doubt let you know how that goes tomorrow. I don't really want to say much else because I'm running it at 7 o'clock.
And I'm playing in it.
Yeah, so you're playing in it, but we might have other people as well. So let me see what I can do here, because I've got it in the background, but I'm fairly certain I can make that disappear as well now, like magic. I will get better at this the more I do. Okay, that's filled almost 7 minutes of welcoming and stuff. And when I say sort of a welcome and thank you, they might not be here at the moment, but we've had 3 people that's sort of followed the channel rather than subscribed. So we've got Chaz, we've got Matt, and we've got Beamsy, which is also Matt as well, that have subscribed. So hi, shout out to you. Sorry, you followed rather than subscribed. Following is free to do, but you always get to see when we go live with nonsense. Another little thing before I go into the very crazy announcement that I've got to make, is that the technology seems to be working now. So this is encouraging. This is encouraging in the fact that I can sort of get the pictures, the videos, that's the word, of people. It's like magic to me. So I am thinking that we might start up doing some game live streams as well, some actual plays soon, where we can have people on video through Discord, and you've just seen that my new computer can run Fantasy Grounds at the same time. So we can see people when they're role playing, and then we can obviously cut to Fantasy Grounds when we want to show any kind of action or anything else. So watch this space. It might be some of the games that we currently run. There's going to be no pressure on the players. I mean, people pay me to run the game, so only if they want to do an actual play, then we can consider doing that. So I'm having thoughts, which is always a dangerous thing.
Yes.
But none of that might happen. So there's something that I've seen today, and once again, we have to take everything that we see on the internet and read on the internet with a pinch of salt.
You what?
Yeah, pinch of salt. You never know what is real or what isn't. But I'm afraid I have to announce that I'm being made redundant. Yeah. Which is difficult considering I'm my own boss and work for my own company. But yeah, I'm being replaced by machines. Yeah, the machines are coming. If you didn't believe the vision of James Cameron with Terminator, or is it the Wachowski brothers that did Matrix?
No, the Wachowskis.
Yeah.
Wachowski sisters.
They were right. The machines are coming for us. For those of you who are not aware, another spoiler, another leak has come out from Wizards of the Coast, WotC, as we know, and it seems that they have grand ideas for D&D Beyond. They're going to offer, supposedly, if this leak is true, tiered content as they do before in the top tier, which could be anywhere between $20 and $30 a monthly, is they're going to offer AI GMs. So if you can't find yourself a table, you can sign up, pay your monthly subscription, and connect to one of their AI GMs.
It'd be exciting where you end up getting in a loop. You're in a room. I'd like to leave the room. You're still in the same room. Error, abort, retry, fail.
Now they're not trying to. It's a leak, so we don't know whether this is true. But they are actually. It is known investing millions of pounds into D&D Beyond. They're actually investing more money into D&D Beyond than they need to invest into D&D Beyond for the purposes that it actually does at the moment. These leaks have kind of been verified. Otherwise, I wouldn't even be addressing them now, because it's not. And obviously, I'm not being made redundant. Obviously, I'm not going to quit as a GM. I was being a little bit dramatic and sarcastic, because that's my true nature. But it raises quite a few sort of questions, and interesting sort of questions. Well, thank you, Cara. I really appreciate you, and thanks for jumping on. I really appreciate it. And you're right. I mean, you're obviously right, because as well as me, of course, I'll take that. I'll take that. But I think more to the point, as well as anybody that runs a game, and first and foremost, we'll open it up to Christian and you, Brooks, because you know about the computers, the wires, the red wires and the blue wires, and the internet. Christian today showed me the internet. It was kind of like this little black box, and he said he's got it safe and it's all good.
It's just down under my desk.
Yeah, anybody who watches the IT crowd will get that reference. But I'm gonna pass it across. Well, I'm gonna ask you a question first.
Go for it.
Is this something that would work? Is this not in theory, but can AIs run a game?
Yes, within limits. I mean, I will say I don't know fully the technology that's beneath things like ChatGPT or Character AI or any of the other ones. One of the biggest challenges with a lot of these with this sort of thing is natural language processing, where people will say things and do things in their own way, and it has to be interpreted. It has to be context passed. You have to be aware of the previous context of what was being said, like in a conversation. And it's things that we as humans do really well. You say, I'm going to go into a room. Okay, now you're in the room. And there's an orc in this room. And you say, oh, okay, I'm going to open the door to the next room. And then it could get into a semantic muddle, because it's with an AI GM, it would have to remember where each of you are, what you're doing, all the context of everything, and be aware of how you're talking as your character. Because some people like to talk in character, and some people, will let's say you're playing D&D, playing a low intelligent character, you think, oh, I'm going to drop words out because that's how I think that should be role played. Well, suddenly the AI GM's got to be aware of that. And again, it's this processing that I think is going to be quite tricky. It was tricky when I was doing my dissertation on it. I did it on expert systems and artificial intelligence, but I will say, full disclosure, this was in about 2006, and we are miles on from then now. But yeah, it's possible, but it'll be a bit crap. And there's no doubt it'll get better.
Yeah.
That would be a bit crap.
Sorry.
So there's There is a system called Character AI, and on that they've got a text-based adventure. You can sort of give a description of a character, a person, or whatever, and it will generate an AI chatbot you can converse with. And one of them is a text-based adventure. And I decided to, when I played it, it sort of says you're in a spider's lair, and I decided to really try it and say, well, I'm going to date the spider, and then it turned into a dating simulator, and that was really impressive. That it was reacting to my things. It wasn't, it turned from Zork into Hatterful Boyfriend, but yeah, it's only within limits, and it's only very constrained. And from what I've heard, Wizards are building their own VTT. I think it was on top of the Unreal Engine, and that's again already quite a sort of an impressive piece of technology. And to combine it where they are would be really, really impressive. But what you'd end up with is Neverwinter Nights version 3.
So, I mean, I'm not a technophobe, but I'm hold my hands up. I don't understand it. But the thing that I find my head really difficult to kind of understand is that if you've got a player who's playing a character and he kind of goes, I'm going to play this character as I see this character, and this character is going to make suboptimal decisions, not to be awkward, not to do this, because that is the nature of that character, whether it's suboptimal in social interactions, whether it's suboptimal in actually sort of the tactics of the game or whatever. As a GM, I kind of go, well, big thumbs up. We are playing a role play game. I shouldn't punish you for playing the character, especially when you're actually, quite often when people play the jokers of the party or the sort of the clowns or whatever, they kind of almost become the sidekicks of the other players, and there's they give an awful lot to those other players in terms of fun at the table, and what I don't understand is, would an AI know that that's what it's doing and compensate for it, or does it just go, well, you made a mistake there, yeah, you're dead?
Well, it depends. I mean, it depends on how they build the AI. I mean, if they build it with that in mind, with sort of fairness to characters and with player styles in mind, it could do it in theory. I mean, there are, again, it's simplistic, but if you think about games like Left 4 Dead, that has a kind of a AI director, it's called, that gives you moments of breathing room and then gives you moments of pressure to kind of ebb and flow. So no two games will ever be the same. I mean, effectively, that would be what it would be doing. You would be playing a computer game with a AI director that would be able to put rooms in front of you, maybe give you descriptions of things, maybe create items, maybe put building blocks together. So you've got some sort of random situation. But yeah, I guess, I mean, I'm not a technophobe as much as I claim that I am, because I work with computers all day. I don't think I'd enjoy it, and I don't think I'd want to pay for it personally. I like the love and the thought and the interaction that comes from interacting with the GM. And I've had a few different GMs over the years, and I'm not going to say that Andy's the best, because, well, I don't want to make your head any bigger. But and you were my first GM, Andy, and I really, my love of role playing game came from those first games that I played in your shop, and with you as my GM. And I think it would lose that heart, it would lose that fun, and lose that sort of, where occasionally as a GM, you as you say, you have to pull your punches, or you have a really good idea, or the really good one that I think, again, this is a GM technique that I'm sure you've used as well, when you are just standing listening to the players talk, and they come up with an idea that was better than yours. And you think that's the
Yeah.
path you're going down now.
I, I,
But you're listening out for that discussion, which
yeah.
might not happen in the scenario that they're talking about.
Well, I believe, and I don't particularly hide it, and I don't think it's any way GM's cheating. That it's a shared experience and shared world building, and
Yeah,
I think it's a very good technique. We're all here to have fun around the table, and as long as the ideas the players are coming up with is something that them as a group are going to all enjoy and doesn't kind of upset one of the players or alienate one of the players or whatever. And at the same point, you think it will propel the narrative along in an interesting way. Then everybody's a winner.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
that's a really interesting point. Actually, saying about the offensive bit, I can't remember which of the tech companies it is, so I'm not going to say because
good.
I don't want you getting sued. I'm not going to get sued. No one knows who I am. Your name's all over it, mate. No, so one of the big tech companies made a chatbot, and they had to take it down within something like 14 hours or 48 hours of it going up because it was learning from the people that were interacting with it. And after the first people being people, after the first few hours, it was starting to come out with the most awful things
Yeah,
because it had been trained to do so. But then, it had been trained by people to do that. And this is the same people that, well, there was that mountain Dub the Jew competition from many years ago where I won't repeat what the top entry was, but yeah,
yeah. No, I can
shows
believe it.
people. Boaty McBoatface.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the other thing is that again I can't get my mind round is the rule of cool, which is a simple way of saying at certain points you throw the rule book out the window and go, no, we're going off road here. This is so much fun. I don't want to stop this madness from
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
And I mean, the problem is if the AI can do that, will it do it at the runtime as well? At which point does it make that decision of no, I'm taking you down this path now, and everybody's going no.
But then I think that also happened. I mean, to look at the other side, I think that also happens to us as DMs as
Yeah,
well. Sometimes we miss the mark and make mistakes. But yeah, with a program AI doing it, I mean, again, one of my players in one of my games, they have a really liberal definition. They're a bard, and they have a really liberal definition of the spell Earth Shatter, or Earth Tremor. Sorry, and they used it the other week on a roof. They
yeah,
said, "What's the roof made of?" And it's made of tiles, and out of the tile stone. Yeah, they're sort of the slate. So I'm using Earth Tremor on it then.
yeah,
And I thought that's probably within the rules as written, not going to work.
yeah.
And I think that's probably a good point. If you're sticking with rules as written, then some people are saying in the chat, it's
We'll
you
come
end up with a
to
dungeon
chat
crawler.
in a second because we'll read out people have made and I want you, the people in chat, to have your say and your ideas as well. So we'll definitely come to you all in 1 second. Sorry, you were talking about the shattering of the roof.
But yeah, I mean that sort of I am not the sort of DM or player that really knows the rules of the game I'm playing. I was saying this yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't. I mean, I run Shadowrun, 5th edition, and Shadowrun's full of the rulebook's full of rules that all contradict each other. So I throw half of them away and just run with what's cool
Yeah,
and what I think works for a good game. And it's the same with D&D. I can never remember everything, and I won't ever remember everything. And I've been playing it for years now, and yeah, I if someone comes up with a really cool thing to do, I quite often, yeah, that's fine. More than happy for you to. I mean, again, the same player used it. She said, "I'm going to jump onto the back of this stone golem, and I'm going to curse Earth Tremor again," and it was just brilliant because it was the rule of cool.
yeah,
And I think you wouldn't have that if you had a if you had an AI doing it, especially if it was programmed by me.
Right, I think it is good. Thanks for pointing out that people are chatting in chat. We'll start off with Brooks here. Um, things like ChatGPT show AI is getting better, but the big thing that you need is the rule of cool. We've kind of covered that, but great. I'm glad we're on the how can a computer know that's cool? Um, I like to say that I know things, yes, issues. I think that was replying to that. For less intelligence, wise characters, let me choose something stupid, and computers give stupid answers to stupid questions. Sort of covered that as well. It's great to see that we're on the right sort of mindset. Um, it works okay on a one-to-one setting, but when you have a group, you need the GM to pull things back and say, "Yeah, you can't date the spider." Yeah, I don't know. I
Yes, I can.
personally, well, I think Stuart's getting some ideas for our collateral damage Friday night game now. Um, then I think it could work well, but real gems will always be better. But for people without excessive gem, could be a way to give people more than ways to play.
It's a very
Absolutely.
good point. That's a very, very good
We'll
point.
come on to that in 1 second. Absolutely, because I think it's a big point. But what are they getting? I think is the thing. Um, Broken Fang, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. I think this will be tied to D&D 1, absolutely, in its integrated table. If it's just doing dungeon crawling adventures, you can see it working. And but if you're having intrigue going on, question mark, absolutely. And we'll discuss this in a minute, because if it's dungeon crawling
Yeah.
with a set of rules that the AI doesn't really need to do particularly much to, absolutely. Then Jocelyn agrees. Stuart says, yeah, true. Some of the most basic dungeon crawler would work, but yeah, don't take the spider. Hey, you've mentioned that twice now. Then Jocelyn says, and even if it passes as real, fun GM for a while. When the minute it makes a mistake, it must, which it must. I like to point out Jocelyn is yeah, knows an awful lot about sort of tech as well. It will completely break the faith and the fun in the game, absolutely. For example, says Broken Fang, there is a courtly plotting afoot at the ball. How are you going to gather clues? Have you been in games with other humans? Will there be some craziness which instantly derails things for an hour or more? And then Stuart says, I think AI will give more players against a GM as well, rather than all in it together. Some very solid and insightful points there. I think there's an awful lot to sort of talk here. Um, my take on it, with not knowing about anything, and once again, it has been a leak. We don't know whether they're doing it, but I truly believe they are thinking of doing something like this with the amount of investment they've put in, with the all the shenanigans about the OGL, the Open Game License, and everything else. What they're trying to do is point everybody towards D&D Beyond so that they make their subscriptions. My question is that if people can't get games and they are paying their top tier $30 a month, $20 a month, or whatever to get the games that they want, I believe that good D&D or role playing, doesn't really have to be D&D, session is the best form of entertainment you can possibly have. It is like-minded people coming together, entertaining each other, having an amazing communal experience that is kind of in your imaginations, even if you're using virtual tabletops. It's better than going to the movies or even going to a concert and seeing live music, which I really like. That can be very emotive and amusing. But these make bonds, friendship bonds for lifetimes. I mean, this is the kind of thing that people around a role playing table get. So when it's good, it's unbelievable. But when it's bad, it is terrible. It
Yeah.
is quite possibly the worst experience you come across if your character's been been killed, kind of randomly and pointlessly. That's the worst.
Yeah.
Oh, you slipped, you fell in the ditch, you've fallen 10 feet. Yeah, you're dead. Sorry.
Yeah.
It's
You didn't know the solution to my problem,
yeah,
therefore you're going to. You
yeah,
didn't
yeah.
follow my plot hook. That's it.
But also interacting with other people that are not of the same mindset of you. Um, everybody taking away toxic people for the moment, but everybody's got their own opinions on how a game should be played, how things should work. And I've seen it at my own tables when you get really nice people, players, but they have different ways, different things they want to get out of a game, and it doesn't gel at all. You have the people that want rules as written. They don't want
Yeah.
anything else. They want to play it like a war game. And then you've
Yes.
got the other players that really, really want to just role play. They're not interested in rolling dice even. They want to interact and be that character. Um, and neither one is wrong. It's not. You have your
No.
fun. But what doesn't work is when you get different people with different expectations around the table, and it can kill a game badly, and everybody has a negative experience. And bad experiences at Dungeons and Dragons, sorry, but role playing, it's not just Dungeons and Dragons, is it's terrible. The other
Yeah.
thing that kind of troubles me, I suppose, is, well, the kind of it could lend itself to the worst case. I'm sure everybody's played World of Warcraft or been in those mass multiplayer games, and you move into a pickup group, and the sort of early, way back when it first started, it wasn't necessarily that pleasant if you didn't have friends with you. People would ninja the loot. So you're in here and, yeah, I'm a rogue. I could really do with that finesse weapon. Oh, yeah, that warrior's just taken it. Yeah, he can use it, but he's never going to use it because he's got a magical two-handed sword or whatever. So what I'm saying is that unless there's moderations to keep the gameplay smooth and keep all of the players happy, I'm not entirely sure that the experience itself could be good.
No, you need that person to help, kind of be the referee or moderator, as you say, someone to
Well, just
ensure that
say,
everyone gets together and
yeah, you're a fighter. Look, it's much better to go to the rogue, isn't it? I mean,
yeah. Yeah.
just pointing out the facts. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, no, it's just like occasionally as a GM, you have to be a bit of everything, really. Sometimes a storyteller, sometimes a counselor.
Yeah,
As you know,
yeah.
you can help people work through things, and someone's having a bad day, and you're friends with them. You think, oh, you know what? They would really appreciate a bit of a punching bag now. And but as you said about role playing being one of the best things. I mean, I met my wife at your table,
Mm,
and we've been friends for a long time. And it's absolutely brilliant when it's right, absolutely brilliant. But I do actually see from what the chat was saying about it can give you some D&D. It
yeah,
can
yeah.
give you something. I mean, I was saying earlier, I for years had the third edition books and the 3.5 edition books, and I bought the Star Wars role playing game, and I had loads and loads of role playing books, but nobody to play with.
Hmm.
And I didn't actually play a role playing game from buying the third edition books all the way through to fourth edition when I came to the shop and started playing in your game.
Hmm.
And I think as a player, I probably would have given it a go,
Yeah.
at least to see what it was like.
Hmm.
I don't know if I would have enjoyed it, but
Yeah.
I would have tried it.
I mean,
I mean,
yeah. I'm curious. To my mind, um, this this is where I am with it at the moment, and I always like to try and be balanced. And uh, with the OGL, I think this is something that's going to incredibly impact the changes in the OGL, the Open Game Lands, impact third-party publishers. I think it's caused an awful lot of stress, an awful lot of concern to people whose livelihoods could be ruined by it. And my hearts go out to them, my thoughts go out to them, and hopefully that is not going to change, and hopefully they can carry on with it. And there's all sorts of movement which we will no doubt address at some point in another 6 o'clock club. But this announcement of the AI GMs, I can't see affecting any kind of GMs as such. So it's a slightly different take upon it. And it's to me as if the management at the top of WotC, which is Wizards of the Coast, or Hasbro, or a combination of those, not necessarily the creatives or the people that understand what Dungeons and Dragons is and what the community is at the moment. They've gone, how can we monetize this? We know that they want to monetize it. They've made an open statement about it, and they've basically thought about, well, if people play a subscription, then we can offer them this and this and this and this and this. But I don't believe that those people know what their current audience is.
No.
I think this move smacks of a gameplay to try and turn Dungeons and Dragons into a computer game,
A live service game, effectively.
And my question to the community as a whole, everybody that is in chat and watching on catch up and whatever, I'm not an expert on all of these kind of things, but I think you can leave comments in the YouTube chats. This will go on YouTube tomorrow. My question is, currently, do all those people that are currently playing Dungeons and Dragons, tabletop games, are they unaware of games like World of Warcraft and Skyrim, computer games that they can play anyway, that they might already be playing? We're aware there's great Witcher, the Witcher 3, The Wild Hunt, absolutely amazing. Cyberpunk, very bad start on release. We all know about that,
now.
But it's good now. Yeah. There are these games out there already, but they're still playing D&D as well. Now, my question is, I totally take on board that there might be some people who can't find a GM, but I don't necessarily think that the majority of people that already subscribe to D&D Beyond are in that case. I think one way or another they've committed to D&D Beyond and are playing Dungeons and Dragons. I can't see them wanting to stop playing with a real GM and move to this new format sort of thing, really, which is more a computer game than a role play game, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
I just find it very difficult. It's almost as if they haven't understood the audience and what the audience wants and are getting, and have gone, well, forget those, we'll do this because it'll sell anyway. Now, if, and I don't know facts and figures, if Dungeons and Dragons, as it was back in the day, maybe 5 or so years ago, maybe 10 years ago, was this minor commodity for Wizards of the Coast, people not really investing a lot of money, them selling some books, etc. If it was like that, I could easily say, oh yeah, I can see why you want to do that. I can see why you're not overly worried about that, and you're going to make a computer game that everybody's going to want to play. But they're
Are you saying it's going to be like gym memberships, where effectively it's, hey, person that's seen Stranger Things or that's heard about Critical Role, come over here for a 14-day free trial of Dungeons and Dragons with an AI GM. and then we'll hope that you forget to cancel your subscription, and we'll take your 30 quid a month.
Genuinely, I think
because I paid for a gym for 2 years because of that.
I genuinely think that they have kind of pushed us aside, which is why I think the OGL and everything else is coming through anyway. I don't think that it doesn't really matter whether we cancel our D&D subscriptions now or not. There will be a sweet entry into this for people to try. It will be a monthly subscription. It will be I mean, it'll be advertised everywhere.
It's to get players to pay, because as you said the other day, players don't have to pay.
Well, there's no need for them. That's one of the great things for it.
I mean, face to face. When I used to do my games face to face, I have all the books. I'd lend them out to people, and they could choose their characters, make the characters. And Wizards sell all their books maybe once to the GM. But imagine, again, I'm hypothesizing here. Imagine if you had, you pay £30 a month for access to D&D Beyond, and you get the player's handbook, but they release a new adventure. Yeah. Well, now, let's say not only the GM has to pay for that adventure, but also everyone else as well. I'm not saying they're going to move to that model. I'm absolutely hypothesizing.
It's fascinating, but you certainly raised a very good point. Is people do it with all sorts of subscription services, whether it's Netflix, or whatever, and it becomes this. And I think that is probably what they're looking at. Is that they're looking at there's a lot of media coming out. There's the movie, there's the TV program, etc. So we are running slowly out of time for this one. It is something, but Jocelyn has raised a very, very good point, and I kind of do want to not necessarily address it, but highlight it. Jocelyn says, what about disability accessibility? Thinking of people who struggle to meet in person for zillions of reasons. A worry that you don't have to deal with people appeal would outweigh the subpar experience, especially if they swallow the hype about chat GPL. You could be right. The problem is, I think, with that is they still have to deal with some people. I think the idea is you do what's called a pickup group, or is it a PUG? PUG. So you probably would be with complete strangers that you've never met before, that fundamentally don't need to be polite to you. You look at the very worst parts of the computer gaming community, whether it's I don't want to mention names, but there's a lot of mass multiplayer type games.
Tetris fans.
Tetris, they're terrible. I've heard some of the Pokemoners are completely wild, but I think it's much better to have discussions with a live GM about anxieties and anything else, any disabilities, so that they can compensate for it. And a live GM should be making everybody at their table feel sort of comfortable. I'm not sure an AI would be able to do that.
But maybe provide a solo game though. In a one-on-one situation, that might be ideal. I mean, I can't. I don't like people, but I do get really nervous when meeting. Like, it took me weeks and weeks actually to get up the courage to go into the shop when I moved near the shop. It took me a long time to get the courage up to go in there, because I do get really nervous and really scared in those sort of social situations. But again, there's a whole range of different sort of sensibilities and things out there, and it could provide something for people. It could provide something, and a good experience for people. But I guess it's I would say it's not a bad thing having an AI GM, provided they still make every accommodation and make it easy for the traditional way of playing Dungeons and Dragons, with a party to GM and not really screw it up for those guys.
Yeah,
because we kept it going when it wasn't cool.
it's been fascinating talking about it. We are coming to the end of our time slot for. I have to go to work in a minute. I'm going to be punching Christian in his face. Which
a lot of people have wanted to do that.
I'm sure that I'm going to have some. I don't even know what character you're playing at the moment, which is I'm quite excited to find out. I want to say a big thank you to everybody that has joined us today on chat. Tomorrow we will be doing 6 o'clock show again. We'll start at 6. But conveniently, it's not even the 6 o'clock show. It will be doing the 6 o'clock club. We're a club. We're a club. We're a club, not a show. Mainly because I want a club. So the 6 o'clock club will be tomorrow, and we will be talking Pathfinder Second Edition. I've had some of our community in our Discord. You can find our Discord in our Twitch information. You can also find our Discord on YouTube in our description as well. They've asked about Pathfinder 2, and they want to know where there are some decent resources for knowing the lore and everything else. And I said there's a ton of stuff out there. It's not overly difficult to find, but there's so much stuff that they kind of want pointers to what's the best things to sort of take a look at, and we'll be covering that tomorrow. Thank you very much, Stuart. The Discord is now in the chat as well. Come along, join us, say hi. We would very much appreciate it. If you have liked this conversation, if you think it's worthwhile, please give us a follow. If you've got an Amazon Prime Dewberry What's It, I think you can subscribe as well. That will give us a small amount of money, which helps us fund these things. If you haven't got Amazon Prime, you still can do it, but it will cost you a small amount a month. If you're on YouTube, please give us a sub. It's free to do on YouTube, and it just helps our metrics. In the meantime, everybody have a great evening. Stay safe, and hopefully we will catch you all tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. I want to say a big thank you to Christian. It's been absolutely fascinating. It's both what Christian's had to say in chat has really kind of opened it up. I hope you've all found it balanced and interesting as well. The future, well, I guess I get to rebel against the machines, which I'm kind of cool about.
Just plug me in.
I've
had a good run.
And on that, we will catch you all tomorrow night. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. See you later. Bye bye for now.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.